Okay, so this is gonna be another short video because I'm still working through whatever it is I got. As you can see, my voice is back, which is the good news. The bad news is that the germs have now gone from here down to here, and bronchitis sucks. That's all I can say about it. So all right, so this game against Penn State was actually the one I was perhaps the most nervous about all year because it's a road game. It's in Happy Valley. That's a tough place to play. And originally it was going to be a night game. But then it got bumped up to noon for reasons that I still don't fully comprehend. So I was a little less worried, but I was still kind of concerned. I was very interested, though, to see how this game would go for Michigan. And the reason is that because you look at Penn State, it's that they are a team with an NFL-level quarterback and a good defense. But they have a horrendously slow offense, and the quarterback has absolutely no offensive line protection. Now, this all sounds familiar. It should, because that is basically last year's Michigan team. So, Michigan went to this game essentially playing the Michigan team from last year. And I thought Michigan would win, but it would be stupidly close. And it really wasn't. It wasn't. I mean, don't let the 2016 score fool you. Say for one moment in the second quarter, the outcome of this game was never really in doubt. It really wasn't. Like, after Michigan took back the lead there to end the first half, I just kind of knew, like, yeah, you know what? No matter what, Michigan's going to win this game. Because it's just a matter of how is James Franklin going to screw it up. And, well, by settling for punts in the red zone, and or field goals in the red zone, rather, and punting from Michigan territory, yeah, safe to say did. Okay, so let's get into the stats here. It was going to be really interesting to see how Jake Rudock would do, because we all know he's been putting up absolutely amazing numbers last couple of games. Thing is, though, he wasn't exactly going up against good defenses. So, it would be interesting to see how he would do, excuse me, how he would do against a decent defense, especially when having the pass rush. And by all accounts, Jake Rudock had a good day. He went 25 of 38 for 256 yards, averaged 6.7 yards a pass for 2 touchdowns. He threw a pick. He had a couple fumbles, one of which got covered by Penn State. All in all, a QBR of 56.8. All right, so, I mean, that's not spectacular, but that's still good. I mean, he's the first quarterback in history of Michigan to have 3 consecutive games where he throws for over 250 yards. And at this rate, he very well could pass Chad Henne for the most passing yards. Or the 4th most passing yards, rather. So, yeah. Safe to say what Jim Harbaugh has done with Jake Rudock has been nothing short of phenomenal. He might just very well turn Jake Rudock into a mid-second round, even late first-round pick by accident. So, well, not by accident, but he could very well progress to that point. So, yeah, Jake Rudock's been having an amazing last few games. The rushing attack, still very much MIA. Still very much so. Michigan ran 87 yards on 30 carries. Davion Smith had the lead on the rushers for 39 yards on 13. Averaged about 3 yards a pop. I got a rush touchdown as well, but as long as it's 8 yards. Now, he is still kind of sort of working his ankle or his hamstring, whatever it was they injured against BYU. And he still has some frustrating ability to find holes. And that's kind of, I mean, it's disappointing, but it's kind of understandable because we all kind of figured that Harbaugh's main bread and butter is power run, just running the offense. But we all still kind of figured that he wasn't going to be able to fix this thing overnight. Having said that, we're really great if we can find a run game next week, but I'll get to that in a little bit. Receiving yards, Chesson, Darboh, and Butts once again had a big day. Darboh and Butt each had a touchdown. All 3 of those guys got 60 yards, over 60 yards in receptions. Jake Butt now has 1,000 yards on his career. He's only the 6th tight end to do that in school history. So that's pretty good for him. Jordan Lewis actually showed viable about being on the kick return when I think in the fourth quarter he had a really ripped off a really great kick return, I think it's like a 40-yard return. And the best part is that in the in the huddle before the kickoff, he looked at Jim Harbaugh and said, "You know what? I'm going to break their back right here." Harbaugh's like, "Do it," and he did it. He got a 55-yard return, just refused to go down. So that's pretty good. Blake O'Neal had a punt blocked today, which is about the second worst thing that has happened to him all year. But other than that, he did pretty good. I think a lot of teams are starting to catch on to his rugby style of running right, and they're overloading his defenders. So I think he's either going to switch to a more conventional punt style, or we'll get some more guys back there to block him. We'll see how that goes. But other than that little incident, he did okay. Christian Hackenberg. Poor damn Christian Hackenberg. It's his last game at Happy Valley. And he goes 13 of 31 for 137 yards. Ouch. Just ouch. I mean, this guy got, I don't even know how many times, they got 7. Just pulled the team stats here. Yeah, it's not going to say, but he got sacked, I think, like, at least 4 or 5 times. He just had no protection from his own line. He was yelling at assistants and players on the sidelines. I don't blame him. It's entirely possible he may have been playing with a concussion in the last part of the game. Because on one of the sacks, I can't remember, it was in the third quarter or the fourth quarter, it took a pretty nasty hit to, like, and it landed on, like, the head and neck area. And for the last part of the game, it didn't look like he really knew where he was. So, yeah, just, I can't even just help but feel bad for Christian Hackenberg because he's a good quarterback. He's got no protection. So, I mean, what are you going to do? We call it the Devin Gardner syndrome, so. Oh, yeah, but defense had a nice rebound after the last couple games. The reason they got worn down so much against Indiana is because Indiana runs a very up-tempo offense, and this kind of wore them down. Penn State is the total opposite of that. Their offensive pace is the last in, I think, the FBS. So Penn State got 207 yards of offense. Quite a few of those were helped out by penalties. Okay, now I'm not trying to say that there was home cooking here or anything like that. And Michigan did take a few false start penalties because they got fooled by the loud cadence, but Michigan had 13 penalties in this game. Penn State had 3. I mean, I don't know. Once again, Jay Grudock appeared to be a bit of a targeting call when a Penn State linebacker basically launched himself and hit and rammed his head into him, almost like a Nicholas Cronwall hit. And it was initial targeting, but of course, because the quarterback's from Michigan, it was reversed. So, I mean, Jake said best after the game. He has absolutely no idea what the targeting rule is, and he'll probably never know. For that matter, he will be. The upside of the penalties is that we got the best Harbaugh freakout of the year so far. After Jabril Peppers was called for a very, very dubious pass interference call, where if anyone pushed off, or got pushed off, it was the Penn State receiver pushing off against him. I mean, Peppers was fell down like full 5 yards behind the receiver. But as soon as that flag was thrown, I knew that the staff was going to freak out. It started with Durkin, actually. Durkin was over cheering at the officials. And then comes Harbaugh just tearing off his fleece jacket and just yelling and screaming at the officials. That was definitely the best Harbaugh freak out we got this year. So we have that going for us, which is nice. But, yeah, solid win today by the team. Michigan came in, did what they needed to do. They faced a tough defense, and they were able to find an answer to win. They just kept grinding it out. Held Penn State to field goals and 1 touchdown, which, heck, the only reason they really scored that touchdown was both a pretty good, decent throw by Hackenberg, as well as the fact that Jabril Peppers basically fell asleep. I mean, he backed off on coverage from his receiver. I mean, come on. And he knows better than that. He just can't do that. But, yeah, good solid win. So, we have one game left. And it is, of course, the game. Now, if a certain team had done what they were supposed to do, this would decide the winner of the Big Ten East. Unfortunately, it will not. And based on what I saw tonight from Penn State, barring some divine intervention, the Spartans may very well end up going to the championship game pretty much by accident. So, which is irritating. Of course it is, but that's kind of what happened in 2011 as well. And we all remember how that turned out. Same thing happens here. No complaints. But, doesn't matter. It's the game. It's Michigan, Ohio State. You don't need it. This is the thing. I was having a conversation a few months ago with a friend of mine who goes to Ohio State. He's probably currently hanging himself somewhere, but he is of the mindset that he would like Michigan or Ohio State to meet for a championship game, be it like the Big Ten championship, like it could have been in the last couple of years with the conference alignment, or in the playoffs. I told him they'll need to meet one time. And the reason I say it is this. This is the rivalry. You know, the SEC can drum up the Iron Bowl or the Red River rivalry all they want, or, you know, all those other stuff. Heck, Michigan State can pretend like outside of one weekend their rivalry is relevant. There's a lot of great rivalries in college football and in sports in general, but they all pale in comparison to Michigan and Ohio State. This is the one. This is the best rivalry in college football and probably all of sports. You don't need to make the game any more important by attaching a championship to it. It's important enough as it is. And you only need to play once. Because you don't get to play this team and then face them again like a couple weeks later. No. You play them once. Leave it all on the field. And then if you lose, you have to sulk for the next year before you have a chance to make things right. That sounds unfair? Tough. It's college football. So, based on what I saw from Ohio State tonight, I am confident that this is not the team we will be seeing next week. Very much as how I'm confident that we will be seeing a somewhat more energized and... Because you have to remember, even Brady Hoke's teams got for Ohio State. That was like the one game they actually competed all year. Both these teams are going to come in guns blazing. Having said that, now that Ohio State has had their own cruel twist of fate against the lucky as hell Michigan State Spartans, who still aren't winning anything this year, by the way. Now that that's happened, they might be a bit demoralized coming to Ann Arbor. Maybe a little bit. Probably not, but maybe a little. As hell. We had a bye week, and that state loss was still gnawing us when we were playing Minnesota. So is it possible that Michigan could blow out Ohio State this week? Maybe even shut them out? I'm not going to sit here and say it's likely. I think it'll be a close game, competitive game, go down to the wire. But hey, anything's possible. College football. So, we look forward with bated breath between the first meeting of Jim Harbaugh and Urban Meyer, the start of what hopefully will be a new 10-year war or something along those lines. And I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I think it's going to be a very good day to be a Michigan Wolverine. But, till then, go blue.